Tampa Bay. That's where we're going. That's where the story is. We go where the news of the day takes us in the sporting world. And so that's where we start out. The Buccaneers have gotten through the turbulent waters of their season. They've won just enough to be less terrible than Carolina, Atlanta, and New Orleans. So they've managed to get through the regular season and into the playoffs by the hair on their chinny chin chin. It was a narrow escape, but here we are. So this led to some interesting comments from the Buccaneers offensive coordinator. By any measurement, Tampa Bay has not been a good team this year. They're right in the middle of the bell curve, and the only reason they're in the playoffs is because they're in a terrible division. That's it. They really suck, but because of the location, they're in the playoffs. Now, if you have not heard these words, probably not, Byron Leftwich is his name, and bullcrap is his game, apparently. Byron Leftwich gave a stump speech on the much-maligned Tampa Bay offense. And I want you to hear it as Warner Wolf would say. Let's go to the audio tape.
I think it's been moments where we haven't really been that bad. You guys over-exaggerate because we look different. The numbers say we're not that far off. We're awful on third down and red zone. It's disappointing, those two things, for us as a team with who we have. But when you really listen to people talk about us, that's emotions talking. That's not really people that's watching us get better every week. For some reason, everybody want to throw dirt on the Bucs, but we're not ready for people to throw dirt on us.
Okay, so, look at that. It's all emotion. It's not reality. And the only things the Bucs are bad at are third down and red zone, which are kind of important. He's admitting that. He's conceding that. That's a concession speech. The rest of it, though, anybody criticizing this team, it's because they're jealous. That's what it sounded like to me. So let us discuss the question, how do you interpret Byron Leftwich saying the Buccaneers' offensive struggles have been overblown? So I've got Bob Ross, cornered rat, and swollen dome. Shout out Mike Harmon. All right, so we will connect all of these things together, and we are going to make some nice Cuban cigars, which you can get in the greater Tampa Bay area. So first of all, Byron Leftwich, by all accounts, a nice bloke. But on this one, he is blowing smoke up your caboose is what he's doing here. It is baffling that he seems to think that anyone who says something negative about the Buccaneers is just essentially jealous. It's emotion. And he also is attempting to hornswoggle the Tampa fan. And he must believe that the fan of the Buccaneers, the fan base, are a bunch of Nimrods. Because that sounded to me like gaslighting. It's a political term, gaslighting. You're failing at your job. You've gotten tangibly worse on offense. And yet you're claiming that the opposite is true. So I want to go further. What's my evidence here? Let me make my elevator pitch to you that Tampa Bay is measurably worse on offense and that Byron Leftwich is delusional. And he knows deep down what he's saying is not true, but I want to prove it's not true. So I'm going to go Bob Ross here, and I'm going to paint a word picture for you. So you are what your numbers say you are. In terms of yardage, the Buccaneers year to year have gone down 12.6%. They were, last season, they were second in the entire NFL in terms of yards per game. They are currently 12th. Now, Leftwich mentioned third downs were not good. The Buccaneers are down on third down conversion rate. They're down 21.6%. Red zone efficiency, they're down 22.8%. But wait, there's more. The mother of all negative stats for the Buccaneers and the most important statistic of them all. You know what it is. That's right. Points. You have to score. I don't care how many yards you get. You can run on all cylinders, go up and down the field, get a bunch of yards, but do you break into the end zone and get pay dirt? Right? That's what matters. You know that. All right, so the Buccaneers scoring year to year, 2021 to this year, down 38%, 38.3% year to year. They have dropped over 11 points a game lower from 2021 to this year. And Tampa has scored 30 or more points in just 2 games out of the 16 games they played. They did it 10 times last season. Now, Bob Ross would also say there are no mistakes. There's just happy little accidents. Now, secondly, is it true that many around the NFL are just jealous and they're the ones ready to throw dirt on Tampa Bay? That is what Byron Leftwich is selling. He should work at a deli, my opinion. Bologna sandwiches. He's serving bologna sandwiches. So, and I'm going to shake my head no on this because that is some fertilizer. We live in an alternative reality than Byron Leftwich, clearly. Where I live, Tampa Bay is a popular pick by popular people. Here's what I hear. Never bet against a goat, a cornered rat, the scariest of them all, a vermin boxed into a corner. I have said negative things off and on about the Buccaneers. I've called it like I see it. I feel like they are a staggering bunch. And every time, I'm not exaggerating. When I say every time, it's not 4 out of 5. It's every time. Every time I've gotten in front of these microphones and talked to you and ranted into this megaphone about how crummy the Buccaneers are, I have been hit with blowback, right? Tom Brady has looked punch drunk at times. He's appeared to be running on fumes. But he played well against Carolina. He's the GOAT. Yeah, come on. You're not supposed to say the quiet part out loud. I'm reminded of that because the Tom Brady Marching and Chowder Society have come at me with their pitchforks and their torches. How dare you don't mess with TB12. He's going to go into the sorcerer's workshop and put a spell on you in the NFL playoffs. Fancy schmancy. It's going to happen. Yeah, what's going to happen? So I hear this every time, some version of that. A lot of these people are from the Commonwealth and from the New England states. It's not even the people from Florida. The people in Florida are like, whatever. The old school Patriot fans who are Buccaneer fans, they're like, hey, that's our guy. All right, final thought. So let's look at the offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich. What happened to Byron Leftwich's ascent up the coaching ladder? Well, it's obvious here. He's been knocked down several pegs. Leftwich has gone from the flavor of the month to off the menu. This guy was the North Star. He was the Big Dipper of offensive coordinators, and now he's fading out there in the night sky, and life does come at you fast. And we always say, don't let a falling star fall on you. And Coach Leftwich was in line for the Jacksonville head coaching job. You remember this story from last offseason? And he had the job by all accounts, and then he suffered from a medical condition, a swollen dome. His head expanded, and he made some demands. He did not want to take the job in Jacksonville if the GM, Trent Baalke, was still working for the franchise. So he got too big for his boots. The owner sided with Trent Baalke, hired Doug Peterson instead. And don't look now, but Jacksonville actually is a win away from the playoffs. And Doug Peterson's the one being credited with turning the team around. And that was a job that Byron Leftwich had, but he became Mr. I'm the boss guy. I'm better than you. Fire the GM. I don't want to work with that guy. And Baalke weathered the storm. He's still the GM in Jacksonville. And despite the sullying of his name, the mudslinging, the team's been able to turn things around. So maybe he wasn't the problem. And now, if you look around, it's a long shot if Byron Leftwich gets a job in 2023, because at the very top of the list is Sean Payton. Jim Harbaugh is number 2 on that list. And Tampa, at this point, not all that attractive a team to raid for coaches. So you do have to strike while the iron is hot. Leftwich is now on an ice box with the Buccaneers. Now, that said, I will concede that a couple of playoff wins can fumigate the stank, and all of a sudden you start moving back into the cool kid club if you win a couple of playoff games. So we'll throw that out there. All right, it is the Ben Maller